Apple's next MacBook Pro models will enter mass production soon, according to the latest scoop from Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, and it sets the stage for one of the weirdest Mac timelines we've seen in a while. In his Power On newsletter, Gurman doubled down on the idea that the next 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros will land sometime between late 2025 and the first quarter of 2026, meaning we shouldn't expect to order anything new until at least March. That lines up with earlier chatter from both Gurman and analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, who warned that Apple might skip its usual October Mac timeframe and push the release into early 2026. That means Apple's planning to not release any new MacBooks with the M5 chips in 2025. That's right, no M5 MacBook Pro this year and no M5 MacBook Air either. Now, spring refresh for the MacBook Air isn't too surprising, we've seen that before, but a delayed MacBook Pro? That's unexpected, especially since all signs were previously pointing towards a late 2025 release for the M5, M5 Pro and M5 Max machines. This isn't just a routine delay either, it basically breaks Apple's typical yearly upgrade cycle for the MacBook Pro. Let's not forget the current M4, M4 Pro and M4 Max models were announced in October 2024 and shipped in November, so if this new timeline is accurate, we're talking about a full year without a single Pro level MacBook update. The last time Apple skipped a year like this was the M2 Pro and Max MacBook Pro, which launched in early 2023 instead of 2022, so clearly this wouldn't be the first time Apple plays musical chairs with their Mac roadmap, but it's still quite rare. What's even more interesting is that Gurman doesn't offer a concrete reason for this delay. He simply says the timing is fluid, so technically there's still a small chance that the M5 sneaks in before 2026, but realistically don't count on it, and that brings us to the next big question: what about the redesigned MacBook Pros with OLED and thinner design? Because if the M5 is delayed, does that mean the redesign is delayed as well? Well, we don't really know. Gurman hasn't directly addressed what's happening with the redesigned models, so we'll have to speculate, and there are only really two possibilities. Either Apple plans to release two MacBook Pro refreshes in 2026, one early in the year with the M5 chipset and another later in the year with the redesign and the M6, or they're pushing the redesign back to 2027. Now, your gut reaction might say Apple would never launch two MacBook Pro refreshes in the same year, right? Well, actually, no, they have done this before. Take the M2 Pro and Max models, those released in January 2023, and then were replaced by the M3 models 10 months later. And even before that, remember the original 16-inch Intel MacBook Pro? That replaced the 15-inch model just months after a refresh. So history shows us Apple isn't afraid of releasing new MacBooks in quick succession, especially when there's a big design change coming. That said, I'll still advise most people to skip the M5 MacBook Pro altogether, even if a redesign isn't launching in 2026. Because at the end of the day, guys, the M5 is just going to be a spec refresh. Sure, it'll be a bit faster and more efficient, but Apple Silicon has been plenty fast for years. Unless you're doing high-end production work or 3D rendering, the M3 and M4 chips are still plenty powerful enough. And when the M5 drops, the M4 and even M3 models are undoubtedly going to get enticing discounts, whether it's from Apple's refurbished store or third-party retailers. So rather than spending top dollar on a slightly faster MacBook, save your money and grab an older model. The alternative option I would recommend is just waiting for the OLED model, since buying that when it launches will be worth it, because it will be a game changer. And hey, before we get into the upcoming redesign, let me offer you something better than the M5 MacBook Pro, a free subscription to the channel. Yeah, it's completely free, and it gives you access to all the latest Apple news, leaks, reviews, and more. We're aiming for 20,000 subscribers right now, so every sub counts. If you enjoy these deep dives into Apple's ecosystem, go ahead and join the Surround by gang. I'd really appreciate it. Right, back to the future of the MacBook Pro. Let's talk about the two headline features that everyone's hyped about: the M6 generation, OLED displays, and a brand new chassis. Starting with OLED, this will be a massive upgrade. We saw this arrive on the 2024 iPad Pro, and it completely transformed that product. You're getting inky blacks, vibrant colors, insane contrast, better HDR, and significantly improved power efficiency. Apple's also using a double stacked OLED display, which means higher peak brightness and increased durability. That's super important for a MacBook because, unlike an iPhone you might swap out every 2 to 3 years, Macs tend to stay in use for 5, 6, even 10 years, so display longevity matters a lot. Plus, OLED displays are thinner than Mini LED, and that leads us nicely into the second big change, a new chassis. Apple is clearly on a thinness kick again. We saw this with the new iPad Pro, which is absurdly thin, and now there's strong rumors that the iPhone 17 Air is going to be a super slim model, and so naturally the MacBook Pro is next in line to go on a diet. Now I know what you're thinking, thin MacBooks, again, didn't we learn our lesson with the 2016 butterfly keyboard disaster? Well yes, but also Apple's learned their lesson as well. Back then Apple sacrificed everything for thinness, useful ports, proper key travel, battery capacity. This time around it looks like they're approaching things more carefully. OLED will naturally reduce lid thickness, Apple's silicon keeps getting smaller and cooler, so less space is required for thermals. And with rumours that Apple's exploring silicon carbon battery technology, they could use physically smaller battery cells without sacrificing endurance. That's a big deal. Silicon carbon allows you to store more energy into a smaller cell. It's the same tech that allows razor-thin smartphones to pack 6,000 mAh batteries. So if Apple can bring this to the MacBook Pro, we could see thinner and lighter models that actually last just as long or longer on a single charge. That's a win-win situation. Also, just a quick aside, I did see someone on the Mac Rumors forum suggest a touch bar might make a return with this redesign, and look, I'll be honest guys, I doubt that. Most people are happy with the physical function row, it's more reliable, more tactile, and easier to use without looking down. That said, if Apple ever ventures into dual-screen laptops or foldables, like some Windows machines have, then maybe we'll see more experimental designs in the future, but for now, let's not get too carried away. Now let's shift gears into another very interesting leak that might give us a glimpse into Apple's longer term plans, the M3 Ultra being tested in the MacBook Pro. Yes, you heard me right. According to a Chinese leaker called Bibili, code references were found for an unreleased 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pro running the M3 Ultra chipset. These references were reportedly found inside an iOS 18 build running on an iPhone 16 engineering prototype, and the code names are J514D and J5160, and the D likely stands for desktop class, just like the Mac Studio's codename, which is J575D. And if this was legit, Apple was seriously testing a MacBook Pro with a 32-core CPU, 80-core GPU, and support for up to 5 or 12 gigs of unified memory. That's an absolute monster. The M4 Max caps out at 16 CPU cores and 40 GPU cores. This would literally double that. So why did it not release? Most likely thermals and battery life. The M3 Ultra is a beast, but beasts need cooling, and shoving that into a portable machine, even one as large as the 16-inch MacBook Pro, is risky. It probably would run hot, loud, and drain the battery in record time, and let's face it, Apple has zero interest in repeating the mistakes of the Intel era when MacBook Pros turned into portable frying ovens. But the fact that Apple even tested this, that's fascinating. It shows that Apple's engineering team is actively exploring ways to bring ultra-level performance to their laptops, and I think once a redesigned chassis arrives, with better thermal design and internal reorganization, we could see a proper MacBook Pro Ultra. In fact, if Apple can sort the cooling out without needing the full redesign, we could see the M5 generation offer an Ultra chipset to spice things up. That would certainly make the M5 update feel more exciting, but also would come with a hefty price tag. The most expensive Max model right now is $7,200, so could we reach $10,000 for the Ultra? Who knows? Still, for high-end professionals and creatives, it could be worth it. So to sum it all up guys, no M5 Max in 2025. Apple's skipping their usual cadence, and all signs point towards 2026 being the year to watch. We'll likely kick things off with a simple spec refresh in early 2026, the M5 generation, and then potentially end the year with a redesigned thinner OLED MacBook Pro that might even support the Ultra chipset. It's shaping up to be one of the most exciting MacBook Pros in recent memory. But what do you think? Does skipping the M5 this year make sense to you? Are you waiting for OLEDs? And would you actually buy a MacBook Pro Ultra? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you made this far, thank you. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more in-depth Apple coverage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.